Many conference goers gathered today to talk about the impact President Donald Trump has on today's media.
Later, we'll take a look at positive black images in the media, part of 2 NABJ convention workshops.
Plus, doors have been open for many journalists of color thanks to the founders of NABJ. Some you'll get to meet here on NABJ TV. Hello, everyone. I'm Zuri Hoffman.
And I'm Chancellor Johnson. Today is August 2nd, and you're watching NABJ News. Many journalists feel under fire, they say, when it comes to the Trump administration.
Yeah, some journalists report that they are defending what and how they report. NABJ's Amani Patterson talked with an expert about how and why reporters should be able to handle the pressure.
I spoke with several reporters here in Detroit today at the NABJ conference. They say it's challenging, but they're still committed to the job.
It's bad right now, but it's not like completely thrown away in the garbage. He still is the president, and the media still has their job as White House correspondents to report on what they get out of the White House.
Just be graceful. Just be like, I understand. I'm not like this. Just give me an opportunity to try and be different. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but just be gracious. So at the end of the day, it says more about them than it does about you. And all you can do is try and do your job.
During the NABJ event, one of the speakers claimed President Trump has not always shared factual information with the public. For example, Trump told media outlets that his inauguration ceremony was the biggest one ever, but other reports proved otherwise.
But Trump lied so much and did it so consistently and so strongly that in September of the campaign, the Times basically called him a liar. It was the first time, I think, that the word liar had been used in connection with a presidential candidate.
The speaker encouraged the audience, saying even in this environment, journalists should strive for the truth.
Our job is to be honest and to give as much information to the reader as possible.
Until the relationship between the president and mainstream media is mended, attendings also got encouragement, which included words about the news they report is important news. Amani Patterson, NABJ News.
The black community has always pushed for representation in the media. NABJ leaders have made that some commitment. During one of the NABJ convention panels, CBS News correspondent DeMarco Morgan highlighted many of the changes fought for by NABJ leaders. The way of people of color are portrayed in the news tops the list of changes needed, especially black men. Talking candidly about those challenges is an opportunity to spark change. That includes the way blacks are depicted in the entertainment industry.
It is no secret that it is extremely difficult being a brother of color, a man of color, in any industry, let alone journalism, which has the power to depict us in a negative or positive way.
Panelists also say that black women play a key role in promoting positive representation. The topics came up in both the Black Male Media Projects and talks about the impact of the hit movie Black Panther. Being in the city of Detroit means we cannot forget about the broadcasting industry in the Motor City. NABJ News reporter Hadiah Weaver visited the place today that started an evolution in black-owned media.
That's right, Chancellor. I had the opportunity to talk with a few people who made it possible for journalists like us to live our dream jobs.
Most people know Detroit as the Motor City and the birthplace of the Motown sound.
What they don't realize is this is America's first African-American owned TV station, the first ever in the United States. We're going to go through these tours and take a look. Why don't you open it up? Let's see what we have. Okay. This is the museum inside the original studios of WGPR.
WGPR TV, Channel 62, Detroit.
Here's where you'll find the ways WGPR made history. From a vintage set showing,
The Labor Department says the cost of living is going down. That's good news.
The station's very first newscast in 1975, to pictures of people whose roads to success started in the halls of the station.
So essentially what I learned was how the stories that involved people of color and black people in particular had value.
Denise James got her start here before continuing her career on stations in North Carolina and in Philadelphia.
If we don't tell our history, who will? And if not now, when?
There's more than black television history here. Many radio personalities, including some who went national, got their start right here in Detroit.
Whoever the big star of the day, like Morris Day from the Time, or Vanity or, anybody who was a big star back then is coming down. And it's just nuts because you got to focus on doing what you got to do.
James Jackson is one of those early radio and TV personalities who can tell you about legendary Detroit DJ Electrifying Mojo. He could also tell you about the time he asked Vanessa Williams about losing her Miss America crown.
She was so genuine about approaching that situation.
The William V. Banks Broadcast Museum and Media Center is open every Friday from 10 to 3:30 and the first Saturday of every month. Hadia Weaver, NABJ News.
Here is a cool fun fact about Black media. NABJ was founded the same year WGPR-TV first hit the airwaves. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Hadia. And during the NABJ conference, you got a chance to speak with someone very important.
Yeah, that's right, Zuri. Coming up in an interview that you'll only see right here on NABJ News, the sports mogul talks about receiving a prestigious award. Plus,
can you guess where I am right now? I'm actually in Canada, and over there is Detroit. More details to come.
They're a great team.
Jason, Tati.
Jason is an outgoing person.
They can't all be gems.
Tati, strike a pose. She's funny and knows her stuff.
You can just go to them 10 o'clock every morning and they'll tell you what's going on in Detroit.
My day would not be the same if I didn't have Live in the D. I love it.
Yes, please. Because I can plan where we want to go and what we want to do.
That mac and cheese is off the chain.
Hey, I like it.
Live in the D on Local 4.
3 missing boys may be in extreme danger.
Frantic search in the town of Morenci.
The FBI now getting involved.
I truly believe he's done something with them boys.
And I wonder, are they scared? Are they crying for me?
Turned up across the state line in an Ohio hospital after attempting to hang himself.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know where my kids are.
Shattered Black Friday. Subscribe today on shatteredpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
And Chancellor, we've been having such nice weather. I really hope it stays like this for the rest of the conference.
Yeah, I definitely second that. Tony, give us something good for this forecast.
Please.
What can we expect?
Now, Chancellor Zuri, it's a beautiful day in Detroit today. I mean, look at this view. It's a beautiful day, and right now we're having a temperature of 83. Now, the humidity, it's looking pretty good. We've got some winds, but for the most part, we're having a beautiful day. Now, for our live radar, as you see here in downtown Detroit, it's looking clear. We're going to have a nice night. Now, as you see from Saginaw down to South Bend, we've got some thunderstorms. They're pretty severe, but they're going to die out before they even get to downtown Detroit. Now for your forecast for today, we have a low of 68. Now it's going to be mostly clear, partly cloudy, so you're going to have an enjoyable Thursday evening. And as far as tomorrow goes, when you wake up, you guys, you're going to have some scattered thunderstorms possibly, but it's going to be, pretty cloudy and also some chance of some sun. So it's about 85 degrees on tomorrow. Now for your future forecast, it's going to be a rainy day tomorrow, like I said, but Saturday and Sunday, if you're having a cookout, if you're going to a pool party, you're going to enjoy yourself. Now going into early of next week, Monday, you're going to expect some more showers, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And Tuesday, we have a voting primary day, especially here in the city of Detroit. And that's your weather forecast.
Thanks, Tony. The ESPN Mentor Breakfast is a popular annual event at the NABJ convention. It's a great opportunity for sports journalists from across the country to network. The event included breakfast as participants learned from several panelists. The line to get in the workshop stretched outside the door. That's why journalist Romello Stiles showed up bright and early to be one of the first people in line.
I had talked to other people that were coming, and they were like, last year it was packed. There were like lines out the door, and I was like, okay, I got to get there early. I got to get a good seat because I have to obtain everything that's being said.
And in a classic case of the early bird gets the worm, the Sports Task Force rewarded Stiles a VIP access to their task force party for showing up early. Speaking of VIPs, congrats to sports writer and Detroit's own Jemele Hill. NABJ will honor Hill at the Salute to Excellence Awards as the 2018 Journalist of the Year. I had a chance to speak to Jemele about receiving the award right here in her hometown.
You know, a lot of times people say, or the old adage is, I want my roses while I'm still here. And for me to be in what I consider to be the prime of my career and to be honored and celebrated this way is just very meaningful for me.
Jamel received both praise and criticism for being the Journalist of the Year, but she told me she's shaking the haters off.
I think you're always gonna have detractors. I mean, you could cure cancer and there's gonna be somebody out there that's gonna hate on it, right? That's just kind of the way it works. But, you know, it doesn't bother me. I just consider it to be kind of part of the armor that I have to wear.
The Salute to Excellence Awards is Saturday at 7:30 at the Renaissance Center.
And here's a big win tonight for the LGBTQ task force. Tuesday, the NABJ Board of Directors passed a motion to make the organization more inclusive. Now, task force co-chair Ernest Owens is spreading the word and looking forward to the celebration after a decade of hard work and advocacy.
The motion basically will now allow and mandate that the national organization begin to, in many ways, account for our LGBTQ members.
The membership data will allow the task force to apply for grants and implement programs for Black LGBTQ journalists.
NABJ Executive Director Drew Berry returns to the position after a year away from the seat. However, Berry feels as if he's never left.
I continue to work with the board and other people of the organizations in order to continue to make some improvements across the board with NABJ, so I don't feel like I've gone anywhere. I've been here more than 20-some years, and it was just some other things that I needed to do, and life goes on.
Berry aims to lead NABJ to stronger and new partnerships with other organizations. He also wants to improve the organization's bottom line financially.
The National Association of Black Journalists would be nothing without its founding members. And during the 1960s and 70s, little to no African-American faces were in the newsroom across the country. NABJ reporter Belinda Wesley talked with some of our founders working to continue the organization's mission. Belinda?
It was December 1975 when 44 founding members signed a piece of paper establishing a path for journalists of color to be embraced, invested in, and most importantly, hired. I spoke with a few of those founders who say times may have changed, but the mission remains the same.
This is the place to be.
An exciting thing.
Just not to say the job is done.
Since the first convention in Houston in 1976, Black journalists have gathered every summer in various cities. Founder Sarah Weaver recalls being the only Black face in her newsroom in Minneapolis.
So to have an opportunity to meet with other journalists who were doing what I was doing was an exciting thing. So that was part of the reason to come together.
In 1975, founder Joe Davison says it was hard to find other journalists who share the same passion for storytelling. He says NABJ is a major factor for the growing number of minority journalists in the business.
But you can certainly see far more Black journalists now than we had in 1975. Far more Black editors and publishers, people in leadership positions.
Minority communities face issues like environmental injustices in Flint, shootings of unarmed Black men, and attacks on freedom of the press. Founder Allison Davis says Black journalists are needed more now than ever before.
It's not to advocate for any position. It's only to make sure that journalists Black journalists get a fair shake in their newsrooms, get opportunities in their newsrooms. It has never been to take a stand on what's happening in this country.
This year's NABJ conference has a focus on driving journalism, technology, and trust. This is their effort to shape the next generation Black journalists to hold the powerful accountable. Live in the studio, I'm Belinda Wesley, NABJ News.
Linda, thank you. This year's conference here in Detroit is the third highest attended convention in its history.
In 2019, the convention will be held in Miami.
We want to say congratulations to a former NABJ Student Projects participant. Ariana McLemore is one of 2 students awarded more than $40,000 in scholarships from Reuters, the world's largest international multimedia news provider. McLemore is a recent Hampton University graduate. Along with Yale graduate, Ahmad will receive training in the company's New York newsroom and will be mentored by Reuters editors.
This week has been all about the journalists and storytellers themselves, but hear how these writers are sharing their stories of others.
As a trailblazing Black journalist.
The story of Lucille Bluford inspired Sheila Brooks so much she had to share it with the world. Ford was a woman who fought strongly against segregation and for her rights as a journalist. She became editor of the Kansas City Call during a time when black women had little leverage.
The Me Too movement, women, black women, we have a voice and we should share our voice.
Plenty of these stories of inspiration are displayed all over the convention. Alexis Akridge discusses a novel showcased at the bookstore.
It's an incredible book. I think it's an important book for today's young activists.
She describes a book that talks about the power of words and speech, which has been a persistent message throughout the convention. Brooks says if Bluford was alive, she'd have a message of her own.
Stick to it, fight the good fight, tell the good stories, and be a fair and accurate reporter, writer, journalist.
NABJ Dr. Ian Smith has authored a long list of best-selling health books, but his latest book is a fictional novel, which is a new venture.
Don't let others say to you that you can't do something because it doesn't fit or because it doesn't make sense.
Chance, and actually you can get that book for free in the library, or excuse me, in the bookstore, so make sure you go get your copy.
Well, I'll be expecting my copy for Christmas.
Of course.
Though journalism is of high esteem and importance, sometimes it doesn't always pay the bills. Up next, learn how to turn your content into cash.
Could be the moment that you realized you should have taken a moment to check the weather before you left the house. Or the moment you realized living in 4 seasons is amazing.
So whatever your weather moment is, remember, wherever you are, check in with us so you're ready for whatever moment Mother Nature has in store for you. The moment is here at Local 4 and click on Detroit.
Everyone has a story to tell, and someone always wants to listen.
That's right. NABJ reporter Sydney Clark has more on how you can turn your content into cash.
Content, whether it's a book, blog, or even a YouTube channel, has the potential to flourish and thrive if you are strategic.
One thing that I learned is that facts tell, but stories sell.
Johnson participated as a panelist on NABJ's interactive session called Turn Your Content into Cash. Public relations powerhouse Pam Perry led the workshop. They offered tips and strategies for repurposing content and building your brand. Creative consultant Tamara Hartley offers advice on how to stand out when promoting your content.
Well, one of the things you can do to stand out from the crowd is to be yourself, because no one else can be you. So I do videos and I do a blog, and I just try to be consistent, be myself, and not try to be anything else. People know when you're not being authentic.
Speaker AJ Williams shared her mantra that keeps her focused on her goals.
AJ, make the coin, secure the bag.
PR professional Megan Norman found the session inspiring.
Some of the major takeaways were finding your niche and the power of collaborating. Sometimes I think we think that we're here by ourselves and that someone else has this great idea and so we can't do it, but being an individual but also learning from other people and finding ways to collaborate with them can really increase your own brand.
Sydney Clark, NABJ News.
Eating healthy and physical fitness should be a priority during NABJ.
Reporter Tony Benton Jr. joins us to now give us a few tips.
Journalists are always on the go, so when it comes to finding time to exercise and to stay healthy, it's especially hard when you're at a conference like NABJ. I spoke with NABJ founder Allison Davis about staying active and physically fit during the NABJ conference.
I mean, I'm always in the gym, making sure that I am strengthening my body the way that that I should in order to continue to keep the bones and the muscles that I was born with. There's a possibility that you'll see me at the 10K biking on Saturday.
We caught up with the co-chairs of the 5K to find out why.
We reached out to sponsors and we had a hard time connecting with one. So there wasn't one in 2016. In 2017, we were kind of focusing on regrouping and saying, okay, how can we do this? How can we attract sponsors? What's the way to do this in an organized way?
Now that the 5K is back, the co-chairs are excited about the gifts they have for the first 450 people who crossed the finish line.
We have a special medal
based on Detroit. We received approval from Motown to have a similar type of logo and to kind of mimic Motown Records. Our charity of choice is J-Shop. It's the whole idea of us being journalists and preparing budding journalists, folks looking to get into the business. So a portion of our proceeds will benefit our J-Shop as we continue moving on to each city.
This year for the 5K Run Walk, they're adding a 10K bike ride. Now, this has been 2 years since they've had the event. The 5K walk run and the 10K bike ride is scheduled for Saturday, August 4th at 12 noon. You can sign up at nabjconvention.com. Tony Benton Jr. for NABJ News.
NABJ is not shying away from a sensitive topic in the sports world.
That's right. NABJ journalist David joins us now to tell us how that conference is handling the issues.
Today, notable sports journalists, including Jamel Hill, spoke on the discrimination they witness and deal with on the job. NABJ attendees told us why this conversation was vital and possible solutions to this issue in sports media.
Hearing it here isn't really a shock to me, but the fact that they're addressing it and wanting to do something about it and trying to make the change means a lot. And if we're going to make the mark that we want and a positive impact on the industry, I think it's important to talk about it and know what's going on.
Inclusion, having people who are white support black people, and not just to do it on camera, but to actually do it in an authentic way.
Now, a lot of people don't know this, but Detroit has a team in a semi-professional basketball league. They're called the Detroit Dodgers, and they're hoping to make a splash at Nationals this weekend.
It takes a lot to work on your game and your day job.
Doctor, athletic trainer, IT coordinator, graduate assistant, high school coach, high school teachers.
These ladies are many things by day. By night, they are the Detroit Dodgers, a semi-professional basketball team playing the Women's Blue Chip Basketball League.
We all hoop together in the inner city, and when we branched out, we made sure we keep in contact with each other through like open gyms on the off seasons and stuff like that.
You can credit their coach for bringing a group of former Division I basketball players together.
We came together as one and pretty much formed this team just to kind of help, you know, the morale of the city with women's basketball and to keep it going. So to give young ones hope that it's something else to do after college.
The Dodgers practice once a week, play their games on Saturdays. Remember, that's on top of their 9-to-5s. And get this, the Dodgers dominate. They're undefeated, won their region, now are headed to North Carolina for Nationals.
Everybody who's playing love the game of basketball and love to compete, so it's an open opportunity for everybody that's involved.
It's a big deal for these players, who sacrifice a lot for the love of the game. This weekend, they have one goal.
Bring the championship back home. It's not enough for us to get there. You know, we want to win it all.
David Shealy, NABJ News.
I know you've been busy with student projects, but have you thought about checking out Canada while we're here?
Actually, I have. I'm looking forward, but I didn't bring my passport, so unfortunately, I can't make it there.
But we have Sydney Clark telling us how easy it is to cross the border for under $10.
What if you could take a quick day trip to Canada or even visit for a few hours? Well, if you're in the Detroit area, you don't have to travel far, just under a mile to be exact.
Just on the other side of the Detroit River is the Canadian city of Windsor, Ontario. However, you won't be able to enter unless you have a passport. You can get to the city 3 ways, using the Ambassador Bridge, the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel, or by boat. People on both sides of the border come to this part of Canada.
I came in by train last night from Toronto, having traveled across the country from Vancouver, BC, for almost a week. And so far, I think it looks like a very nice, quiet city, but at first I thought Detroit was the city, and I was quite surprised at how large it was. And Detroit fascinates me because I love to watch KCTS 9, and so much wonderful programming comes out of that city. So I'm as much interested in what's across the river as I am by what's here in the city.
A camera-shy man who lives in Windsor says,
right where we're at, the riverfront, Windsor has always had a beautiful waterfront. It attracts a lot of people from, especially the United States and Canada, of course. It's safe. We've never had any major problems down here. I come down here a lot. I'm here almost every day. I'm retired. and so I have plenty of time.
If you have time while in Detroit, consider a visit to Windsor. Reporting from Ontario, Cindy Clark, NABJ News.
Now that is by far the cheapest way to travel internationally. We might have to make that trip.
Yeah, I agree. I'm regretting not bringing my passport. Are you going to head to Canada?
I think I may go to Canada sometime this weekend. We have a couple more days left.
We sure do.
For more stories from the NABJ conference, be sure to check us on our website at nabjmonitor.com/2018. Good night.
Thousands of people pour into the city of Detroit for the annual National Association of Black Journalists Conference.
And there's controversy in the air as conference goers cast their ballots for this year's executive board.
Plus, a school in Northwest Detroit empowers young students to value education at an early age. Thanks for joining us for NABJ News. I'm David Shealy.
And I'm Noelle Lilly. It's Wednesday, August 1st, 2018, and we're taking a look at stories all across Metro Detroit.
First, topping our news this hour, opening day is underway at the 60th Annual National Association of Black Journalists Convention. It's the second time the convention has made its way to the Motor City in nearly 3 decades.
NABJ News reporter Amani Patterson is live on the convention floor, where we find hundreds of convention goers.
He sure is. In fact, Donnie was only 14 years old when he started to go to college. And tonight he is here to accept that award. And he said he doesn't know where he would be without NABJ.
And I still rely on the skills that I learned in doing the NABJ Student Multimedia Project in my day-to-day work.
This time last year, Donnie Holloway had no problem making his mark on NABJ student projects in New Orleans.
Hello, I'm Donnie Holloway.
Now, Holloway works at Bloomberg TV, where he really feels like he's making a difference.
The chance to hear what's in store for some very powerful workshops. Producing podcasts, working with our different shows on Bloomberg to bring shows across the world to people, and it's really gratifying and a lot of fun.
Not only is Holloway talented, he's thankful for the investment from his mentors and colleagues, whom he considers family.
I'm so deeply grateful and honored and humbled to receive the Student Journalist of the Year award. It really encourages me to continue telling stories and inspires me to continue doing the work that we do. It's hard to believe it's been a year.
Donnie went on to say that NABJ is everything. We see these hundreds of black journalists here to motivate and inspire the next generation of storytellers, just like you and me. I'm Amani Patterson for NABJ News. Back to you.
Thousands of journalists are here in the Motor City right now, looking to network, learn, and grow their career at this year's convention. NABJ's Jalen Anderson found out why people look forward to this event every single year.
It's hard to believe that 24 hours ago, unpacked boxes, unfinished light fixtures, and empty booths were all that filled the exhibit hall.
We basically take a blank floor plan, or so it could be a concrete floor in a convention center, or it could be a ballroom that has just carpet on it, and we turn it into a marketing, I say, fair, so to speak. So, you know, with all the bells and whistles.
Today, nearly 3,000 journalists of all ages are here in the Renaissance Marriott. And the event on almost everyone's mind, the career fair. Many first-time attendees and young journalists attended a panel discussion on how to best navigate the conference.
If you look like everyone else, if you're not doing anything to sell yourself, then again, it was a wasted opportunity.
Hunter Patterson graduates next year, and he took away some valuable tips.
Take every opportunity to speak with whoever you can. You never know who you're going to be in an elevator with.
As the conference continues, this room will be packed and filled with journalists. Long lines will occur as people wait to talk to recruiters from the major networks. Each year, NABJ's Career Fair is the place to be for news managers looking to hire talent.
This is the largest and best attended journalists of color conference in the country. You know it's a big thing when the hotel sells out.
The Career Fair closes at 5 p.m. each day and ends on August 3rd.
For NABJ News, I'm Jalen Anderson.
Thank you, Jalen. As you prepare to navigate through the career fair, remember to bring your resume electronically or on paper, along with plenty of business cards.
The NABJ Board of Directors decided Tuesday to hold what they call a runoff election. It includes the media-related representative position who works after the annual convention. Typically, the NABJ members vote prior to and during the convention. Those results are usually announced during the annual Salute to Excellence Gala and awards show.
This comes after one candidate dropped out of the race due to a conflict of interest. For more on that, here's Chancellor Johnson.
Yeah, that's right, guys. There's a discrepancy in the election for the media-related representative board position after a candidate withdrew from the race, but that person's name was not taken off the ballot. NABJ member Hania Sharp Brown withdrew from the race after being notified that she could not run for an elected position while participating as a mentor in the student project.
For me, I choose my students any day. It wasn't very much a hard decision.
Sharp Brown says she turned in her letter of withdrawal on July 10th to the elections chair after she was notified of a conflict of interest on July 4th. During that time, several votes were cast for her online. This isn't the first time this happened. In 2013, a student was involved in a same situation, but a former NABJ committee chairperson came up with a solution.
It was a recommendation in my report that the board direct the SEED committee, which oversees student projects, to come up with a written policy dealing with that issue.
Had I been notified earlier when I submitted the application, or had there actually been a rule in writing, we could avoid this.
And that recommendation Woolfolk alluded to went to former President Bob Butler, who doesn't recall taking any action. Current President Sarah Glover says the board is working on changes for the next election.
There's been plenty of talk among convention goers about the future of the Motor City. We ventured out and found a school working hard to make sure young people stay on the right track.
The Jalen Rose Leadership Academy prides itself on being a different type of school.
Our students here, they come every single day ready to learn. They leave here ready to lead every single day.
That's Dean of Leadership Thomas Lehman. He believes success comes from teaching practical skills more than usual classroom content.
Whenever there's a teachable moment, whenever there's a correction with a teachable moment attached to that, we make sure that all adults in the building make sure that we correct young people where it's necessary, but then uplift them throughout the correction.
It makes me feel a lot more confident about my learning situation. Like, growing up, I've been through a lot, but coming here, it gives me a big confidence boost. It's like perfect here.
The Leadership Academy enrolls almost 400 students every year. In some cases, they even have students on a waiting list hoping to get in. Academy leaders hope completing high school is just a first step for their graduates. During our visit to the Academy, I learned from the students that their teachers are getting through.
Attending and graduating from college is one of the big things of emphasis here at the Jalen Rose Academy. They have the flags of all kinds of colleges, including Michigan State and Michigan, above each locker. And those two schools are where students Malik and Darrell are interested in going.
Well, I would be looking forward to looking into journalism or engineering.
It's a whole lot different compared to other schools. Like, every other school I went to is nowhere compared to this one so far.
And you know, it starts with the young people. We're here for these kids. We're here to make sure that our students have every single opportunity that students in more affluent communities have, because we believe when you put our students in those same positions, you'll see the same amount of success.
That was a great story, David. What impressed you most about the school?
I think it was the casual atmosphere. Usually when you go into a school, it's usually there's the authority and there's you, the student, and that's just it. But it didn't feel like that at all. I mean, you had the staff talking to the students just as they were all around the same age, like they were all just real cool. Everybody was like a friend, and I thought that was really nice, especially in a school-type atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely sounds like a great experience.
It definitely was. Still ahead, official conference swag. Find out about all the new apparel, where you can buy, and when it'll be open to the public.
Plus, thousands pour into the first day of the NABJ conference. Coming up, the official numbers from the day.
I'm a believer that anything is possible. I got a vision and I'm gonna make it true.
What message would you have for the viewers of Detroit?
Mornings are special.
Yeah.
You give us your morning, that's a big deal to us. We care about giving fair, accurate,
up-to-date information in the right context.
There's a connect you guys have with your viewers. You know them intimately. You cover them daily.
The moment you wake up, turn to Local 4 News Today and The Today Show.
We've all been there. You have that moment where you realize something is just not right. The facts or your gut tell you something is wrong. Could be that business owner not treating you fairly. Or maybe it's the landlord that doesn't care about your personal safety. That's the moment you should call me. Let me help make an unfair situation right. After all, those are the moments that really matter.
The moment is here at Local 4 and click on Detroit. Have a consumer complaint? Call Help Me Hank.
Noel. Now, the weather yesterday, it was a little rainy, but today, as you can see, I mean, we've got some sunshine. It's a beautiful day outside, so if you are deciding to head on out with the family, enjoy your day. Now, as you see right now in Detroit, we have a degree of 78, so it's a pretty good day outside. And as you can see, for the 4 live radar, we've got some light showers heading this way, and we also have some thunderstorms heading towards Flint. Now, for your local forecast, we have tonight low of 66 degrees. That's going to come with some evening rain, and then it's going to clear out. And then tomorrow, expect the sunshine. You're going to have some slight possible thunderstorms later in the evening, but it's going to be 85 degrees. Now, as you head over to our future forecast for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, now, tomorrow, it's going to be it's going to be a little bit cloudy, but now Friday, be sure to get your umbrellas. Be sure to get your raincoats. And then Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have sunny days. Now, Monday, Tuesday, you guys be sure to pack your umbrellas for those thunderstorms. And Wednesday, it's going to brighten up again.
The host hotel for this year's NABJ convention filled up fast. There are not 1, but 2 overflow hotels with plenty of guests checked in. NABJ's Hadia Jones joins us after checking out attendance for us.
What's her name? So what do you say?
One of my spoons.
More than 3,000 people are expected to attend the 2018 NABJ Convention and Career Fair in Detroit. Erin Wilson is a 23-year-old sports reporter attending her very first NABJ convention.
Well, one thing that sparked my need to be here was because it was, catered for Black journalists, which is hard, to find sometimes. I mean, I've worked in the business for about a year now, but I've graduated just recently, 2 months ago. So I've seen a lot of different things, and it's hard, especially this business is hard to get into.
Swinging back around. Thank you, guys. NABJ's movement towards success is outlined in its strategic marketing plan. It says about 3 out of 4 members are millennials and Generation Xers. The organization's executive director is glad the organization is attracting younger journalists.
I think that number 1 is the content that we have to offer members, and in particular millennials.
Drew Berry also says that millennials are indeed the future of NABJ.
Thanks, Hadia. So, David, what's your favorite part about the convention?
Well, it absolutely has to be the job fair because I am about to graduate, and being transparent, I need a job.
Right, don't we all?
And being the newcomers to the convention, we are all NABJ babies. NABJ reporter Zuri Hoffman has more.
As this NABJ conference gets going, we're taking a closer look into the story of one author whose work will be shown at the Author Showcase.
If you've been a part of NABJ for a while, you've probably seen Georgia Dawkins. Former student chapter president at Florida A&M, she has deep roots in the association. Many know Georgia for her 10-year career in TV news or her vibrant personality, but Anthony Wilson remembers her when she was an NABJ baby.
So long that I lost count, but she was one of the outstanding students just like you, once upon a time. And she has gone on to have a stellar career.
Since her days at Florida A&M, Georgia has spent over 10 years behind the scenes and in front of the camera.
As chapter president of the FAMU Association of Black Journalists,
But in this stage of her life, Georgia's newest endeavor is what she is most proud of.
I'm so excited. It's like one of those things, like when you first start coming to NABJ and you see the career fair, you see the authors, and you think, that could be me one day, and now it is.
Her new book, Everybody Knows the Power of Being in Position, shares her journey from an NABJ baby to an entrepreneur.
Georgia Dawkins is a testament that with support from her NABJ family, anything is possible.
I'm so happy and grateful for this network and this family.
Zuri Hoffman, NABJ News.
So David, this is only my second NABJ convention, so I think I'm kind of like an NABJ newborn almost.
Well, we're on the same page because I attended my first conference last year in New Orleans.
Yeah. See, well, it's good to be here, right?
Absolutely. It's always awesome to be at the NABJ convention.
For sure. So aspiring journalists are upgrading their wardrobe with budget-friendly prices. Starting a journalism career is not easy, especially when it comes to finding professional yet affordable clothing. CBS Boston reporter Michelle Fisher partners with NABJ to help future journalists dress for success.
Young journalists, people that are just starting out in their first or second market that maybe don't have that big of a salary, that this will be one less thing they have to worry about.
Convention goers can purchase the items from $1 to $5 each this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Davency Room. You can help by donating gently to used clothing, shoes, and accessories until Friday. All the money raised goes to the NABJ Scholarship Fund. During NABJ, time is set aside to help make local chapters around the country strong. Members connected with their local chapters at Chapter Day. The chair of Council of Presidents, Siobhan Riley, says getting involved takes the organization to the next level.
In chapters, you learn leadership skills, you learn fundraising techniques. There's so much that you can learn. I think it's important for people to come out and take advantage of those opportunities because that's what's going to help build strong leaders.
Presidents from local chapters across the country got the chance to participate in a Q&A during the Chapter Day workshop.
Still ahead, once a landmark, now an eyesore. The Detroit train station is getting a new life.
We'll tell you who's behind the effort to get it rolling again.
This is Jeopardy!
Answer. Daily Double.
Who is Ford?
In the nick of time.
It was Brandy?
Brandy, yes, you're a fine girl. Why are you laughing at me?
You're so handsome, I was overwhelmed.
Watch with over 9 million Jeopardy fans. Jeopardy!
Weeknights at 7:30, only on Local 4.
Sexual assault allegations have flooded headlines over the last year, leading to criminal trials, job terminations, and the hashtag #MeToo. But online and offline, the movement has been criticized for leaving out women of color. On day one of the 2018 NABJ convention, media professionals and sexual violence activists discussed how to report stories of sexual assault and include the voices of minorities. Panelist Tamika Payne argues that Black women don't make so-called good victims for the media.
I think stereotypically when we think of victims and we think who plays, you see a thin, blonde, pretty woman. So when we say this person's a bad victim, we're not saying that they are a bad person, but we're recognizing the implicit biases that we bring to making assumptions.
The panel also discussed how the Me Too movement neglects marginalized groups.
The Me Too doesn't capture the story of the undocumented. The Me Too doesn't capture the story of the migrant. The Me Too doesn't capture the story of the trans woman of color.
Panelists and attendees added that it can be difficult to cover stories involving men of color accused of misconduct, like Bill Cosby. But for Detroit Free Press intern Quentin Banks, it's a matter of right and wrong.
Someone who is a person of color did something that deserves punishment, don't hold back because they're a high-ranking person of color.
The panelists gave tips to journalists on how to better cover sexual assault cases. That advice included not focusing on salacious details and not relying solely on what's been reported to police. For more information on the Me Too movement, head to nabjmonitor.com/2018.
The Detroit train station, once a major landmark in the city, has become an eyesore for so many. Now, with the help of automaker Ford Motor Company, what was once a beacon of hope for the city will soon see a brighter future.
Sean Wilson, Manager of Community Engagement for Ford Motor Company Fund. Welcome to Michigan Central Station. Come on in.
Ford Motor Company has purchased this shabby old building. The makeover of the Michigan train station is eagerly anticipated by those with fond memories.
Was last here, I figure it was about 1964, 65, with my mother taking a train to Grand Rapids to go see my brother.
Mike Woolfolk, a native Detroiter and longtime NABJ member, says
Ford will be a place where their mobility team can work on developing autonomous cars and work on their mobility aspect of everything they're trying to do.
This renovation will help shift Detroit's revival into overdrive. It's over a century old, but when they're done, it will reflect this slogan.
To be a place you can live, work, and play. I think Ford's going to be at the forefront again of really helping to push and decide and provide support for how people move around the country. So we're projecting about 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and so 2022 is when we would anticipate opening up the doors.
Making everything old new again.
Well, you don't have to be from Fraser to know of Eberline Drive. It was the epicenter of the sinkhole in 2016. 2 houses at the end of the street collapsed on Christmas Eve, but now that life is back to normal in the neighborhood. The name Eberline Drive is rising, not sinking. This is Eberline Drive today. Quiet, peaceful. The sound of construction and demolition crews, a distant memory. Nowadays, the only disturbance might come from the Hirschman house on game day.
We're expecting probably, at least 15 to 20 people from the community and maybe more. It's an open house.
A big watch party is in the works Thursday to watch son Jake's basketball team play in the ESPN TBT basketball tournament.
I'm just a huge basketball fan. I haven't played with a team since 8th grade.
No, Jake isn't playing. Instead, he's got a front office role as he and a friend put the team together. Playing general manager is something Jake's done for years with little success.
They kept losing and losing and losing.
But this year, after direct messaging the right NBA players on social media, he struck gold.
Our best player is Jerome Randall. He's the all-time leader in points at the University of California, now plays professionally in Australia. We've also got 5 former NBA players.
From 72 teams at the start, it's down to 4. The prize, $2 million. The team name, Eberline Drive.
Me and my buddies, when we first made the team in 2014, we decided to call it after the street we grew up on because, that's just kind of where we've lived our whole lives and, means a lot to us.
It means a lot to those who live on Eberline Drive, too. Everyone officially on the bandwagon, hoping their street's namesake rises up.
It's nice to have something really inspiring and great, to have people talking about Eberline Drive with a passion and an excitement instead of a dread.
Thanks for joining us.
For more stories from the NABJ conference, you can find it on our website, nabjmonitor.com/2018.